up, SNA assassinators? This is Super Ninja Austin back here with another video. And this is the Sunday Night Football review on November 10th, 2024 with you all today. And we're going to talk about a very intriguing Sunday Night Football game. Like, it was a so close game. Like it was anybody's game at the end of the game, even though one of the teams were in the lead like in the beginning until the end of the second half. But the other team managed to make a huge comeback and a difference, and a life-changing comeback that you would never thought that was possible in the halftime spot, the halftime side of things. But they end up proving but that team proved whoever doubted them wrong, I guess you could say, and yeah. And I'm gonna tell you who exactly got the win. And like I said on my news video, I whoever wins this game, I'm gonna be wearing blue, and that's what I'm doing right now. And it was the Houston Texans taking on the Detroit Lions live in Houston, Texas, in their NRG Stadium. And before I begin, I want to give a huge shout out to the unbeatable, undefeated, back-to-back Super Bowl champs. Yep, I'm sure talking about SNA's Chiefs. Now they're 9-0, and the commentators on halftime will keep bragging about that. What just happened when they faced the Denver Broncos? At the last minute, not the last minute, more likely the last few seconds. Let me rephrase that. The Chiefs. Looked like that the Broncos had their number, with them trying to win by a point by kicking a game-winning field goal. But they end up getting stopped by the Chiefs defense with them blocking it right up in midair and batted down, recovered it, and that's how the game ended. Yeah, with 0 seconds left. Yeah. Now the Chiefs are 9-0, and I have a feeling that they're going to remain undefeated, which some of y'all Chiefs haters and Bills fans and other fans out there are probably going to be thinking otherwise, and they're going to eventually lose. But I'm not sure if that's going to be happening anytime soon. And I'm going to be doing I'm likely going to be doing a top 10 list of the best games ranking from the last 10 games they had in this season so far that they won from Baltimore to the Buffalo Bills, but that's only if they do beat Josh Allen and his team in Buffalo, which they said they will be going to their stadium at November 17th. Yeah, that's going to be the day when they're going to face them at the next game, on week 11. But we're going to start things off without any further delays with the Detroit Lions versus the Houston Texans game. Yeah, this game was intriguing and must see. If it's a Super Bowl game, even though it was not too big like any of the Chiefs primetime games, but still was big enough to be on a top 20 primetime game, if not top 10, which I think it should be top 10 if you ask me. Because I totally enjoyed myself with these two teams trying to get the dub, but one of them did end up getting it and remaining in the unbeatable side. But let's start things off with Detroit getting the ball, kicked to them. They were at the 30. This is where we got Jared Goff trying to throw it to his tight end on the right, but he ends up throwing it on the ground. With him getting covered by the defensive end on the Houston Texans. That's where they go try again on their second try on the drive and the first ever drive in the first quarter. This is where then we got what's his name? This is where we got Jared Goff then pass it right onto his running back Montgomery. This is where he got a gain of 5, which is 3rd and 5. This is where he threw it. This is where he threw it to St. Brown. This is where he got a gain of 7, got the first down. They got 2 extra yards. This is where they were at the 42-yard line. Yeah. And this is where then we got the fullback was in motion. This is where Jared Goff kicked it inside, go to the right side. This is where he passed it again to Montgomery. This is where he got a gain of 3. And then this is where we're starting 7, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, this is where then we got This is This is where then we got what's his name? Jared Goff threw it to Jamison Williams in the right side. This is where he hardly got like a yard or two, but there was a flag on the play. However, this is where it was. They got an illegal formation penalty, which they got. I'll say about like a how many yard penalty? Like a. I'll say maybe like a 5 yard penalty, perhaps. But that's where they're like second and 11. This is where then we got. This is where This is where we got Jared Goff then try one more time to start gaining some yards. But this is where it got deflated by the what's called the Houston Texans, and then it was recovered by Jalen Petrie that got the deflated batted down the ball, deflated it, and it was recovered by. And it was recovered by let's see, it was number 20, and who that was? It was Jalen Petrie, and it was number 20 like that recovered it. It was what was his name? It was Jimmy Ward, that's what his name is. It was Jalen Petrie and what's his name? And Jimmy Ward was the one that we intercepted, but he got knocked down right at the I'll say the 33-yard line or 32. I think it was 33. Like with them running right into the end zone, this is where they start doing like a choir or a symphony kind of celebration dance. Like if they scored a touchdown, this is where we got what's his name? CJ Stroud came out into the field with the rest of the offense. This is where he passed it to Joe Mixon. This is where he only got a gain of 2, making it like 2nd and 8. This is where then we got Stroud and go for the next snap, like which he had. But yeah, one of his receivers go in motion. He passed it to. This is where he tried to run it, but this is where he got like a loss of 2 or maybe 3. Like I was not exactly sure, but I think it was 2. Like and it was what was that? It was a loss of 2, 3rd and 10, and this is where then CJ Stroud snaps the ball. This is where he tried to go for a throw. This is where Tank Dale like got a ninth. I got a gain of like 15 yards, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's where then we got Jared Goff like, oh, like don't tell me they're gonna score a touchdown. And to be a little bit of a spoiler here, like that, let's just say they did. And this is, but before we get into all that, this is where we're gonna continue and move on with Stroud passing it to Mixon, which he got like a gain of couple again, like which was like 2nd and 8 once again. Like if the play was Britney Spears, but this is where we got CJ Stroud then snaps it again with the number 83. His receiver in the left was in motion going right and left until he passed right to Mixon again. But this probably was not much of a smart idea because I believe he lost the gain of. Or no, it was No, it was Davis this time. His other receiver. I mean, not receiver, running back. This is where his other running back in. It is where it was like, yeah, a loss of, I'll say 7 if I'm mistaken. Yeah. I know it was a loss of 8. It was a loss of 8. That was they had to go right back, and then it's like if not like lost an extra 4 yards, or no 6 yards actually, because it was 8, not 6. But this is where we got CJ Stroud and to try to run it, but this is where he found one of his. That's where Mechie That's where Mechie then got the ball. David Mechie the third, if I'm not mistaken, that's what his name is. That's where he got the ball. He ends up getting the first and goal at the, I'll say, at the 9, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that's where then that, that's where he gave it to Gabe Stone, the number 87, the tight end of the Houston Texans. That, that's where he got a gain of 2, making it second and goal because they don't count the numbers when they're in the goal by the goal line and the red zone. This where we got. And Stroud, I think they guaranteed that they got in after this timeout that the coach called like for. This is where once they got like about a 60-second timeout, this is where then they got back in the field right at the 7-yard line. This is where Stroud was like, all right, 113, 133, 135. Hike. This is where he passed it to Mixon. This is where he passed the Mixon that was running his way into the left side. He ran it all the way into the promised land, and that's the touchdown mark. And that is also known as the end zone as well, which they scored 7 points, making it 7-0. And yeah, what was your thoughts onto this? And do you think this was do you think this was a pretty? This was a. This was a. This. Do you think that? What are your thoughts on that first touchdown by the Houston Texans? Like, do you think that was a pretty impressive one? Let me know down in the comment section right down below. Moving on forward, we got them. The Houston Texans then kick it back to Detroit, if I'm not mistaken. Like this, is where it get like they got the ball turned over, but I'm not going to get into that like until I recap what happened starting like when they got the ball kicked it in, and they were right at the 30. I guess that's where it lands when you get a touchback, because I believe like 9 times out of 10 that's what these teams did like in during the Sunday night's primetime game, but on tonight's Sunday night's primetime game, because it still is Sunday for like until like an extra couple hours. But this is where we got. That's where Jared Goff. I'm not. Yeah, Jared Goff. Then was like 141, 142, 143. This is where he did the leg signal onto the receiver in his left that was coming from the right in the motion. That's where he passed it to Montgomery. This is where I think he didn't really went anywhere, which they. Excuse me, but that's where Jared Goff then trying to launch it like a little, I'll say a half Mary, I guess you could say. When he fake passes to Montgomery, that's where he tried to throw it to Williams, but this is where he nearly got intercepted by Derek Stingley. Yeah, the corner of the one of the corners of the Houston Texans. This is where it was 3rd and 10. This is where they had to redo the snap. Like it was 3rd down. Like if they don't get this first down, then they are SOL onto this what's that called? Onto this onto this drive. But this is where we got Jared Goff trying to snap the ball real quick before the shot clock went off, and it was too late once he snapped the ball. Like when it hit 0, they still got hit with that very heavy yellow penalty, and that was the delay of game. Like, and this is where they got pushed back like about 5 yards, making it 3rd and 15. Like I'll say a quarter more what they call a quarter more stressful and hard for the Lions. It's where they do it to Nathan Sam Laporta, but that's where he ended up not getting no first down. But pretty much like half of the players onto the Houston Texans stopped him. That's where it was like about 4th and, I'll say what was it? It was like about it was like about 4th and what the score was. It was, I think it was like 4th and 7. Like so, I'll say about like a 8-yard run. But that's where we got. That's where we got the return man on Houston. Once he got punted to him, he got up until like at the 44, almost 45, like when he got brought down by the special teams on the Detroit Lions, which CJ Stroud nearly did it again. But I'm not sure how to say it without giving it away before I recap it. But I'll just say like let's just say he almost did it. Like he got back in the red zone, almost did what he did previously, but even though he did exactly what he did on the last drive, like but the Houston Texans manages to score onto this drive. Maybe not as much as like earlier, but we're gonna venture that. This is where Stroud passed it to Dale, like what's his name? Tank Dale, that's what his name is, right to the left side, which he got the first down, and I believe this is where they pass enemy territory. This is where we got. This is where then we got but he tried to go for a throw, but I'm not throw. He passed it to Nixon. This is where he only got like a gain of one. This is where but this is where he threw it to him again, like when he was under pressure by the Detroit defense because they were definitely not waiting around. They went right past the lineman. It seemed like they need some lineman that's going to block, like the Chiefs finally do have, and that's the reason why they went to four Super Bowls and won 3 of them. But anyways, that's a different story for a different day. This is where we got mixed. This is where Mixon ran it all the way until he got like at the 3, if I'm not mistaken, to 3-yard line. Like with him passing their 40-yard line, until they got to the 3, which was like over a 36-yard to be exact. It was like a 36-yard run. Like according to the commentators, that's what they stated. Like how much he went, but this is where they try to go for. This is where they try to go for the next drive, but this is where they get stopped, but this is where they got a holding penalty, but it didn't even matter. But at the same time they got I believe a 10-yard penalty if I'm not mistaken, which they got pushed back a little bit, like at I'll say the 13 if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, but they didn't let that be a bother of them, because they just came from losing about a few yards, and they still managed to get into the red zone before, so they're gonna try to do it again. That's where once he passed the Mixon, this is where he kicks out. I mean, this is where he still gets kicked out, from gaining any yards, which he only got like a gain of 2, which they were at the 11 when it was 2nd and goal. This is where it was 2nd and goal with Stroud snapped the ball. This is where he tried to see who's gonna throw it to. He knew it got sacked, but this is where he tried. This is where he tried to throw it to Mixon because it seemed like he was the only man that was open, but he still was covered by somebody on the defense of Detroit, and he pushes Mixon right onto the right corner side. This is where we got. This is where then we got what's his name? See, this is where CJ Stroud's got all his receivers lined up, and despite this, he tried to go for trying to get a first down. This is where he tried to juke this linebacker or defensive back, like Mr. Houston the fourth, just came in and just ramsacked him and sacked him right at that right behind the line of scrimmage, which he must have lost a yard. James Houston the third or fourth. I mean, James Houston the fourth, went for the big sack. They had no choice but to kick the football, or else they would probably don't get no points if they don't score a touchdown then and there. But they end up settling for a field goal, making it 10-0, a 10-point game. And then this is where we got Detroit. Then finally did answer back to the what's it called, the Houston Texans, and they scored a point. Well, not just a point, but you get the point. But no pun intended, of course. But it's where he kicks the football. This is where they kneel the ball. That's where they got right up at the 30-yard line, like every team would do, just to get the easy yardage and not get hardly what they could get. But it's where he fake passed it to Montgomery. This is where then Jared Goff then threw it right to the right side. He tried to throw it to one of his 2 receivers, but he ended up overthrowing it right into the right side because he was under pressure by the Houston defense. That's where then what's his name? Jared Goff was like, oh, sugar honey iced tea, like how that had to happen. And this is where then we got. This is where it was the 2nd and 10. Jared Goff then tried to have his. This is where he tried to pass it to his running back Gibbs, but this is where he got took down. This is where he got pushed back, like all the way back, like 4 or 5, maybe 6 or 7 yards. I believe it was like 6 yards because it was 3rd and 16 after a 2nd and 10 snap. This is where Jared Goff like 3rd down or no 3rd down, like whether if it's 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 20, like I'm still gonna throw and try to get a 1st down, which he did. This is where he passed it to his receiver. It was Jamison Williams. That's who it was. And it was a big grab, like with a gain of 24. Like with them getting an extra 8 yards, that more than they needed. Like which they needed 16, but they managed to get over the 40-yard line. With Jamison Williams tumbles with the ball, caught it and crossed the line and gained a few extra yards. This is where then we got, but he still got brought down like about at the 40. I'll say 7. This is where then he passed it to the Gibbs. This is where he got like I'll say about a gain of 3, if I'm mistaken, right when they were right at the middle or no. They passed it at the 49-yard line, their 49-yard line of the Houston Texans, at the enemy territory, cross enemy territory, I should say. This is where we got. That's where Jared Goff was nearly about to snap the ball, but this is where the Detroit offense then called for a timeout, like to relook at the plays before they start jumping in a play that's not gonna help out, like, and that's gonna cost them this drive of trying to score, which that was probably the best decision from the Detroit Lions because it actually worked. But yeah, let's see, like it. That's where we got, but at this time, Gibbs didn't get anything at this play. But on the next play, they were absolutely lucky. But oh yeah, and this where then they started this. They continued with the drive when the start of the 2nd quarter. Like, but the 1st quarter, it was 10-0 with the Houston Texans getting the 10 points, while the Detroit Lions get no points yet, and not until at this next run. This is where Jamison Williams got another 1st down. It was a gain of 13 at the 36-yard line, which they got an extra, I'll say, 7 yards. This is where then we got. Here's where you got Jared Goff, like, okay, like so far so good. Like now I need to figure out, like, before I get to the red zone, to see how I'm going to get in the end zone. This is where he then snaps the ball. This is where he passed it to his running back by Gibbs, and this is where then they were had a gain of 6 on that play with Gibbs like just gaining more and more yards. He's kind of reminded me like Todd Gurley back when Jared Goff used to have been on the Los Angeles Rams and Gurley was, which I wonder where he's now in, which team he's in. If he's in retirement, which I understand why he would want to call for retirement. Like if he hardly been playing for like about, I'll say, I don't know, like roughly a decade, I should say. I'll say he's been playing for roughly a decade. But this is where we got Jared Goff then. This is where Jared Goff then snaps the ball once the receiver on the left was going to the right of the Detroit Lions. This is where he passed it to Gibbs again, but he got only a gain of 2 roughly, and this is where we got. I know it was 3rd and 1, making it 3 yards, actually. Correct me if I'm wrong, which I did. But this was Jared Goff ran the 1 yard, like with him. I couldn't find nobody. He had to run it himself, like if he's his own version of Patrick Mahomes, and maybe even, what's his name? Lamar Jackson as well. But yeah, moving on, we got Jared Goff then passed it right on to Gibbs, which he probably got a gain of 5, making it 2nd and 5, like at the 20. And then this is where then we got, let's see, like once they were at the 20, this is where Jared Goff was like, okay, 122, 123, 127, 24, 25, hike, and this is where he fake passes to Gibbs. He just throws it right to his tight end, right to the right. It was It was Sam Laporta that got the ball, by the way, number 87, which that's starting to be a common jersey number for tight ends in the NFL. Why don't you just ask Mr. Travis Kelce that question, and maybe even Rob Gronkowski? But I think you should primarily ask Travis Kelce, considering he's still an active tight end in the NFL. But anyways, yeah. But yeah, this is where they finally got some points, which is a touchdown, making this score 20, make this 7-10 in a 3-point game, like at the time, of course. But this is where they eventually kick the ball right back to kick it right back to the Houston Texans. This is where then the Houston Texans then. This is where they try to go for like a. This is where then they got the ball like. This is where they got the ball like touchback, but this is where they try to pass it to his receiver. What's his name? Pass to his receiver. What's his name? Tank Dale the third. This is where he gets taken down right into. This is where he got pushed right back like 6 yards, losing 6 yards at 2nd and 16. This is where then we got C.J. Stroud was like, all right, 180, 185 hike, and this is where he snaps the ball, throws a plain Mary right into the left side, which Hutchinson tried to go for a catch, but he got 2 guys on him, which the referee saw this clear as day. Pass interference on number 0, Arnold. Right onto the left side, which it was one of the Detroit Lions' corners that was touching the wide receiver onto the Houston Texans. This is where then we got was right at the spot of the foul at the 45-yard line at Detroit's side of the field and passing enemy territory. This is where you got him passing it to what's his name, to Mixon, to Joe Mixon. This is where he got like a gain of, I'll say 1 if I'm not mistaken. No, I don't think he went anywhere like at this play, but this is where we got Stroud to try to throw it right onto his receiver. But this is where we got this is where Tank Dale tried to catch the ball, but this is where then he gets stopped by the Detroit's corners and safeties, which I believe was one particular was a corner. Brian Ranch, that's what his name is. Yeah, he blocked the ball before Dale could even catch the ball. This is where we got Stroud was like, okay, no matter. Like, even though we're 3rd down, this is where he did try to pass it to Joe Mixon, but he gets stopped like he probably lost like 4 or 5 yards on this play, but they had no choice but to punt it, like because if they try to go for it again, even though they're at the Detroit side of the field, they still will be risking like their opportunity of keeping them from scoring any points. I know they didn't punt it; they try to go for a field goal. This is where they try to do it. It's a 56-yard field goal. This is where he managed to kick the field goal. The kicker, Mr. What's the Houston Texans kicker's name? It was Mr. Fairbarn. Yeah, Fairbairn. Yeah, Kamami Fairbarn, and this is where he kicks the 56-yard field goal, making this a 6-point game, making it 13-7. This is where then they kick it right back to the Detroit, but they didn't really do anything, and this only just got a couple of first downs, but that was about it. But even though it kind of spoiled it, but not quite spoiled it because they had a couple of chances trying to score again, but they end up not getting them as well. But I'm not getting into specifics, even though I referenced it, but I didn't got into details. But this is where they showed that the technique that Jared Goff did when he fake passed to Gibson, like with him, like he was actually passing, like it was similar to like Peyton Manning did when he was when in his time in the Indianapolis Colts, this is where we saw Jared Goff try to pass it right on to Montgomery, but he didn't really went nowhere, making this a second down. We still with them still at the 30. This is where we're trying to pass it, try to throw it to to a intended receiver in the left, which I'm not sure who it was. They showed real fast. No, I get to zoom right through. That's where the flag on the play, however, and it was I'll say I'll say hands to the face penalty on on the defensive end, Mr. Hunter, number 55. This is where then the coach on to Houston Texans were not very happy to hear this, like on the foul. But this is where we got Henry Jared Goff came in anyway. This is where he snapped the ball. This is where he fake passed to Montgomery. This is where he nearly caught the ball. But this is where his hands got. This is where somebody from behind, like that was from Houston, that just stripped the ball out of him, which I think it was a defensive tackle. This is where it got deflated and it got intercepted by Houston. And it was And this where it was the second interception and turnover of the night, and it was Danico Audrey that got the number 96 got the strip. This is where we got where Jared Goff tried to throw it, but it got knocked out of his hands. This is where but and this is where Henry Toa, the safety, number 39, caught the ball and intercepted and fell right down to the ground at I'll say the 30, I'll say about the 36-yard line at the Detroit's side of the field. This is where we got this is where Stroud fake pass it to Mixon. This is where he throws it right to Tank Dell. This is where Tank Dell didn't really went nowhere, or only roughly at 1 yard, like which it were 3rd and 9. This is where then they try to go, or not third, 2nd and 9. What am I even talking about? Stroud. And then he passed it to Xavier Hutchinson, which he landed right at I'll say at the 22nd yard line. Or no, 20, was it 24? It was the 24-yard line. This is where they did a little group huddle. This is where then they were wondering what play they're going to do next. This is where it was a game changer. What they did, but it was no longer it was but it was not like to keep them from Detroit. But this is where we got. This is where the Joe Mixon and you got a gain of 8. Like on this play, this is where it was 2nd and 2, but he ends up passing it to Mixon again with which got a first down, like at the 11-yard line, like good with a gain of a few. This is where we got. Let's see. This is where we got. This is where then Stroud then snaps the ball. And this is where he had Dale in motion. This is where Mixon tried to go for a run, but he ends up getting stopped by him going nowhere. Like with him being 2nd and 10. This is where we got Stroud. All right, 1:15, 1:27, 1. And this is where then he snapped the ball. This is where he then tried to go for a throw, but he knew he gets sacked. He had to throw it away right into the left side to Mixon, but it ends up going out of bounds, 3rd and 10. This is where and this is where they try to go for it one more time. You're like, we'll get 15. I said, now I said hike. This is where then he nearly got a touchdown, but this is where he get this. That's where I tried to throw it to Robert Woods, like the former Los Angeles Ram. But this is where he got stopped right on the corner right to the right side. With him in the back, the far right, I guess you could say, in the end zone. This is where they did not score the touchdown on this drive. Like this is where they had to go for a field goal attempt, which the defensive coordinator onto the Detroit Lions were very happy with the Detroit defense and make sure they kept them out of the end zone. They got the next field goal, which was 16-7, a 9-yard point gain. But yeah, this won't be the last time, which that's the next time and that's a scenario like when they make the next points, I should say. But yeah, they kicked it right back to Detroit. You guessed it, they got a touchback, and then this and they started at the 30-yard line, if I'm not mistaken, with Jared passing it to Montgomery, which he hardly got like about a gain of two, making it like at the with them always going at the 32-yard line. That must be a lucky number. Like when it comes to teams like running like at the 30-yard line, like which I'm not understand what's exactly the case on to that. But this is where we got Jared Goffin trying to go for a throw, but he ends up getting. This is where he nearly got sacked, but he threw it away before he can even get sacked. But yeah, this was an incomplete, obviously. Like with it getting tipped right off of one of the Houston players. This is where it was 3rd and 8. This is where they try to go for at least one more time. He tries to do it multiple more times rather than just being the last time right here. But yeah, he snaps the ball, try to find his intended receiver, which he tried to throw it right to St. Brown, but it would end up being incomplete. Even if he tried to go down low, it would be too low to catch the ball, making this like if he just spiked the ball rather than try to throw it to an intended receiver. But yeah, this ended up like being 4th and 8, and he had to go kick it. That's where the return man Sims on the Houston Texans caught the ball, but he gets stopped at the 31 or 32-yard line. That's where they start right there, like for the Houston Texans, like with their run with this winning streak onto this game, like so far, like with them, just keep scoring every time they get into the red zone. Like, well, at least at this time, of course, but. That's where, like, during the middle of the game, we start hearing the Undertaker's music. Then he's like, with the bell, like, doom, 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 doom. I was like, and is he in the building? Because after all, they are in Texas, and normally when the Dallas Cowboys or the Houston Texans play in their home state in their respective stadiums, which that was the case today for both Dallas and Houston. Like with Houston playing in their NRG stadium, while the Dallas Cowboys were playing at their AT&T stadium. But yeah, like I was wondering, like, and if the 30-year wrestling veteran was at either of these two games, because after all, he lives in Texas and he's from the state. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we would be hearing that on the wrestling news tomorrow, like what he did, like for the festivities part with him attending either the Dallas or the Houston game. But let me know in the comment section right down below if that was the case. I'm just taking a wild guess because sometimes, like when one of these Texas teams do play at home, they have a special visitor out of the dead man. I mean, they probably would have shown him like if he was there, but I'm not sure. But they didn't really show like wrestlers like when they do attend sometimes like when they're not really doing something for the NFL, they always show it on WWE, like on their social media, like on the Raw or SmackDown after the game. Like that was on that Sunday, like or whatever. Like yeah. So I'm not sure what to say about this, but let me know in the comment section right down below if he was on any of these games. Just asking. But this is where we move on to. But let's move it on. We got what CJ Stroud's fake pass to Mixon. That's where he nearly got sacked, but that's where he tried to throw it to his tight end and to the right side. But this is where we got this is where the safety nearly intercepted it, but it landed on the ground before he got full possession when he jumped and he tried to grab the ball, but it was an incomplete pass because. But this is where we got Detroit then try to go challenge the. This is where then they try to challenge them because the Detroit Lions challenged the Houston Texans because they say it was a sack before he even threw the ball, which that was the case, and they lost about 12 yards, making this A loss, yeah. Also 12, of course, second and 22. The other way passed the Mixon, but she only got like a gain of 2, making this third and 20. Oh, no, third and 21. Yeah, barely a gain of 1. This is where they're trying to go for it again, even though they're like 20 yards like behind, or over 21, over 20 yards behind, making it 21 to be the exact. And this is where C.J. Stroud's been trying to take a page out of Patrick Mahomes' playbook and see how the surpass this 20 yard, 20 yard, over 20 yard behind yardage, but he tried to throw it to Mixon, but this is where he got buried by the Detroit defense. He had no choice but to kick it back to Detroit, which Detroit did. Got to the next drive, starting at I'll say, I did but this is where the Detroit's special teams stopped the return man onto Detroit, like right near at the 22-yard line, or maybe 21. I'm not 100% sure, like, but I think it was like, oh no, it was less than the 20. It was like at the 19-yard line, actually. Yeah, because they pushed him right back out, like from the 20. That's where Jared Goff passed it to Gibbs, which he got a gain of 1. That's where then they tried to go for another play. That's where Jared Goff passed it to Gibbs again. But this is where you got another gain of 1. This is where it was 3rd and 8. This is where I was like, if I was Jared Goff on the Detroit Lions, I would be trying to go for a first down right here, like by throwing it by a passing game. This is where we got. This is where Jared Goff exactly did that, try to go for a throw. With they like 177, 178, 179, 180. But this is where, unfortunately, when he tried to throw it to his tight end, his tight end number 87, like, what was his name again? It was let's see. The Sam Laporta, that's what his name is, Sam Laporta, but it went over his head. Is where it went way like down the field, but this is where he had to go for a kick it right back to the Houston Texans, which he did a pretty impressive run, like until he got like at the 38. That is. This is where Ezekiel Turner was. Yeah. This is where we got Detroit going for a run. This is where it was a shy of a first down of a gain of 9. This is where then we got C.J. Stroud, then did a no huddle play. This is where he didn't. And then he got the ball. This is where he threw a long pass, but then getting like obviously past the enemy territory. Mitchie, that was at the 32-yard line, and like I said before, and I'll say it again, even though it was in a enemy territory passing situation, like with them crossing to the rival team's yards, like it still was at the 32, which then, like I said, lucky number of this game, I guess you could say. I think that's a lucky number for this year so far, back in since the beginning of this year of 2024. But that's a different story for a different day. But this is where we got. But it's where then this is where they laid the ball right at that yard line with. Which they have like 29 seconds to the spare. This is where I believe this is where they called for a timeout. This is where then C.J. Stroud then look at his little play notes on his wrist. This word, then he was like, "This is gonna be the next play. Here I'm gonna pass it to." This is where they break. This is where they group out of the huddle. This is where then C.J. then snaps the ball. He tried to throw it to his intended receiver on the right side, and it was Dalton Schultz that got the gain of a first down of 17. Like if it was, I'll say about first down and 3/4, if I'm mistaken. Yeah. Like with almost being 2 first downs in the 2-for-1 deal, I guess you could say. That's what I'm gonna say. Like, or even if it's like a gain of like 30, 40, or 50 yards, I'll say 3 or 5 or 3 or 4 or 5 for 1, I guess you could say deal. Like of the play, this is where we got Here's where C.J. Stroud and snaps the ball, throws it to which I believe he tried to throw it to a receiver on the right side, but he ends up throwing it away because he was under pressure. Here's where there's 20 seconds left. Here's where they had plenty of time to try the huddle and try to go for a run, but here's where Tank Dell then nearly caught the ball right in the right side, like near the 5, but yeah, it was incomplete with 16 seconds left, which they only used like about 4 seconds to try to get any gains. But it's where we got C.J. Stroud. Then was grouping the team by telling them what's the next play. This is where they're like break, and then this is where they got into their positions. Like in this third down play, this is where we got Stroud to try to throw it to somebody in the end zone, which he found, which it was Hutchie. That was David Hutchie the third. Yeah, or no, not David. John Hutchie the third. What's it? Where did David even came from? I must be thinking about somebody totally different. The guy I'm confused with somebody else. It was John Hutchie the third that got the touchdown, which made this game. I'll say about a 16 winning game, like from the Houston Texans, which is a 16-point winning game, I guess you could say, for the Houston Texans. And yeah, it was 23-7. And then Jared Goff tried to throw it around a little bit, which he passed it to. That's where St. Brown then caught the ball. Like once Jared Goff threw it to him in the middle, with him was somewhere at the 40-yard line, their 40-yard line to be exact. This is where then Jared. This is where then Jared Goff then tried to go for one more play before the break at 6 seconds left at 1st and 10 at the I'll say at the 45-yard line. That's where he tried to throw it to somebody. Nobody was there. It was 3rd and 10 with 2 seconds left. With them trying to throw a Hail Mary, like if he's either Aaron Rodgers or what's his name? What was his name? Like that's on the Washington Commanders. Daniels. I forget his first name, but he's either like he was trying to throw it like if you like Aaron Rodgers or Daniels, trying to just wait for that moment, launch the Hail Mary right into the end zone. But unfortunately, not like them. This is where it ended up getting intercepted, like by one of the Houston Texans, right at the 1-yard line, right in front of the end zone, like caught right in there. Like this is where then. And this is where like I believe this was his. I'm not sure, like a 5th or 6th interception of this game. Like, yeah, this was getting very insane. Like, with Jared Goff getting picked off, no, I must be thinking about the second half. This was his 3rd interception, actually, yeah, of the first half in the overall game. But this is where we got to the halftime game show. This is where they start hyping up about all the teams, including the Chiefs, like won today at the Sunday's game roundups, I guess you could say. But and this is where they start bragging that the Chiefs are 9-0, which that's something that I would have done. This is where this is where they started off with, like from the Baltimore Ravens, like with Baltimore nearly tied the game, but the receiver that what's his name, Lamar Jackson, threw it to, like this is where he got pushed right onto the outside, onto the what's they called the onto the white line of the out of bounds over the end zone. And I did cover that on my first football review video, which it was talking about my boys, them Chiefs. And make sure to check that out on the Zach channel at Super Ninja Austin right here. Like which it goes back to September 5th, 2024, which was my first ever primetime football review video that I made. The Kansas City Chiefs against the Baltimore Ravens on Thursday Night Football, which was one of the first few Thursday Night Football videos that I made. Like because there was that was one of the games I can conveniently try to recap like on that day. But this is where we got them moving on to the. That's where the Mahomes and made it. They said the Mahomes joke said that you should have wore white cleats rather than being any other colors. Is where Mahomes they showed when he took on the Cincinnati Bengals on week 2, like making it two and making this 2-0. This is where he did a huge risky play when he was at the I'll say at the I'll say the 35-yard line, no, 25-yard line, when he was 4th and 16. This is where he launched I'll say a half Mary, I guess you could say, but this is where it ended up getting incomplete. But the Cincinnati's defense caused the pass interference. They got into the field goal range at like about a few seconds left, which they won by field goal, and it they're making it 2-0. This is where they had their third game, which was Sunday Night Football on week 3. We'll make sure to check that out on my podcast, which I did reviewed it. It was the Atlanta Falcons against the Kansas City Chiefs live in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. But yeah, this is where we got. That's where we got. They showed when Nick Bolton saved the day by tackling the running back onto the Falcons. That what's his name? That Kirk Cousins passed to, like, which they were like 4th and inches, like. But then beating them by just a couple of points. This is where they showed them like in the following week on week 4 when they were after they were 3-0. No, it was 6-0 actually. This is where they showed when Patrick Mahomes did that long run when there was when they were already beating the 49ers 14-12, which he got into the right into the red zone. Is where then he managed to score, like with him running again and knocking over that linebacker to try to stop him, like knocking him down for the touchdown, making it 21-12, and they even scored more after that. But they were just showing the highlights of what just happened, and then they moved it all the way up to the eighth, their 8th game, which was week 9 last Monday, which I also reviewed that. These top these 3 games out of the ones they all mentioned that was like highlighted games. I recapped these games, like these 3 games, like first it was the Baltimore Ravens, then it was the Atlanta Falcons. Now like they showed the Buccaneers, which I recently did 6 days ago. Yeah, back on Monday. Make sure to check that out. Like which I also reviewed along with Monday Night Raw. But yeah, Patrick Mahomes managed to win the coin toss and overtime when it was, I believe, I'll say, what was the score like about? I totally forgot what was the score exactly in particular. I think it was. What was the score? It was. I think it was. Yeah, it was. I think it was like 34 to 28. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. And that's where they show week 9, like with the Broncos have 1 second left to kick a field goal, like that 36-yard attempt. This is where it was 14 and 16. This is where then the Chiefs batted it down, blocked it, and then it was over. Like even if the Broncos recovered the ball, they would have gotten tackled and they would have not got a chance to score a touchdown, which they showed Patrick Mahomes was waving with his wings that he imagined that he has in his arms. He's like, yeah, like we remain undefeated. That's why I was extra happy. Like me and my mom was totally happy that the Chiefs blocked the football when the Broncos tried to kick a field goal. Like they didn't. And we were all shocked. Like they didn't like how did they just block the ball? Like how did they batted it down? Like but who cares? Like because they remain undefeated with them being 9-0 OMG, which is that's what the commentators described this win and upset they did against the AFC West, their AFC West rival, one of their AFC West rivals, the Denver Broncos. Like when they try to give them their first L of the season, but unfortunately for them, they did not even they were not even close of successfully pulling that off. That's where then they move on to get back into the game, which I believe was kicked right back to the Houston Texans because that was the last team that I mean, the last team that got the ball at the first quarter was the what's it called, the Detroit Lions. They won the coin toss, so it's only fair if they get the ball kicked to them, like in their own stadium, because it wouldn't be fair, like if the team that won the coin toss in the first half get the kick to them. But let's get into that. Is where we got. But it's where, like, once C.J. Stroud's got the ball, he tried to throw it, like, when they were at the 30, like, all right, 130, I said, hike, and but it's where we got the Detroit Lions. One of their corners intercepted the ball out of nowhere when he tried to throw it to, I believe, who was it? It was Tank Dale. This is where he went right in front of him. This is where we got. It was Davis, Carlton Davis, the third or junior. I forget what it was. I'm not sure if he had 2 eyes or 3 eyes. It was Carlton Davis. That's what his name is. Number 23 corner. It was the third. Carlton Davis, the third. That's what that's where then he caught the ball. He ran it right in front of what's his name? He ran it right in front of what's his name? Tank what's his name? Tank Dale's right in front of his feet. Is where then they started right exactly at Houston's, I'll say, 31-yard line. That's where he passed to Montgomery, which he managed to get the first down, like a gain of 11. That's where they were right at the 20-yard line. That's where then we got Jared Goff then had St. Brown was in motion into the right side. That's where he passed it to Montgomery again. But this where then he didn't went nowhere at this play, unfortunately, making this actually he lost a yard, making this a -1, making it second and 11. And also I forgot to tell you, assassinators, like in the halftime on the second quarter, it yeah, which was I'll say like the Houston Texans like scored like about, I'll say, an extra 13 yards, like, and then the Detroit Lions got 7, like, which that was the score for the second quarter that they offered, which was 13-7. But overall, the first half of the halftime on the second quarter was 23-7. But this is where we got Jared Goff was getting back to his A game and not being outnumbered for long. This is where he snaps the ball. This is where he throws it to one of his receivers, which was the tight end. It was what was his name? Was it I believe it was Sam Porter, if I'm not mistaken. But it's where it ends up getting intercepted. Lassiter. It was Lassiter that got the back-to-back pick, which I believe was the last time Jared Goff got the last time he had the ball, he got picked off by this dude. This is where one of the Detroit fans were very sad and disappointed, thinking that Jared Goff and his team will not be winning this game. But looks were truly deceiving. Like once everything was looking down for the Detroit Lions, this is where we got the Houston Texans started at the 30, which I was like, that's like, and I was like, what is up with somebody getting a touchback and the team that's in the offense side started at the 30-yard line, like I remember it used to be like 20 and 25 yards, but it looked like they upgraded to 30, like about like 10 or 5 yards. Oh no, wait! I don't think they were at the. I don't think he got a touchback. I think he got he was at the 2-yard line because that's where he picked it off at. But yeah, that's where then we saw C.J. Stroud pass it to Mixon, which he only got 1 yard. That's where he tried. That's where he tried to pass it to his receiver. What's his name? It was Woods, yeah, Robert Woods. That's right, the former Rams. This is where he when he was unsuccessful catching the ball. This is where it was 39. This is where then we got. That's where we got what's his name? Stroud. I took right into the Dalton Schultz, which which I believe he was the tight end, if I'm mistaken. This is where he did not. This is where he not responded, like unfortunately, because he got stopped by the defense of Detroit, which they had to kick the punt, or else like if they don't get a first down, then Detroit was starting into that side, that's what Houston did not need it, but at the same time they kicked it right to them, but they passed the enemy territory, which they were like at the Detroit's 44-yard line, if I'm not mistaken. Not Detroit, I mean Houston's 44-yard line. Jared Goff then passed it to Montgomery, but he roughly got like a gain of 3, like when him like nearly getting tackled right when he passed it to 1. But that's where one of the Houston players was sadly injured, which I want to send him all my good well wishes and all my positivity to this guy. And it is where then we got And this is where we got, let's see. And let's see if I can get into details. But this is where we got Jared Goff. Then snap the ball at 2nd and 6. This is where he did fake pass it to Montgomery. This is where Jared Goff threw a Plain Mary right onto Porter. Yeah, it was Porter. It was Porter that caught the ball at the 3. Like threw a Plain Mary right into the red zone. This is where they were 1st and goal. This is where Laporta, that's what his name is. Laporta, not just Porta, but this is where that's where they got the handy dandy running back, Mr. Montgomery. That's where he passed it right into him. He just ran it right in. Just need 3 yards to run it in. Got a touchdown, and this is where it was 14 and. No, it was supposed to be 14-23, but they try to go for 2 because if they get 2 touchdowns and 2 2-point conversions, they'll have a chance of tying the game. But the thing is, they got the 2-point conversion because they got stopped by the defense, which Montgomery tried to run it in, but he was just, I believe, a yard or 2 short. And there was, 13-23, a 10-yard game. But this is where we got. That's where they kicked it right to Houston. That's where then Strauss made it to the field. This is where he passed it to Mixon, which he roughly got a yard, making it 2nd and 9, which had me thinking, like, what's up with them trying to run it right to the middle? Like, why don't they go to the side? Their chances, even though it might be a little more riskier, but it would be all worth it. But this is where we got. But that's where we got C.J. Strauss then try to go for a throwing play, if I'm mistaken. No, I think I must be thinking about the next play, which he passed it to Mixon again, but he only got like a gain of like 2 or 3. Like while Dale was in motion, which was like 3rd and 8. This is where then we got. This is where we got Dale rolling the motion again. This is where then he tried to throw it to. It was Dalton Schultz, the tight end. That's who it was. It was Dalton Schultz, which I'll start thinking, like, is he related to the creator of Charlie Brown Peanuts? And that's Charles Schultz. But yeah, that's going to be a different conversation for a different day. But it's where he got into the 36-yard line in enemy territory of the Detroit Lions. This is where I thought they were going to score after this play. But this is where he passed it to Mixon. This is where, Oh no, I'm right. It mixed it. He got a gain of 6, making it 2nd and 4, like at the 30, I'll say 1 or the 30-yard line. That's where Strauss to try to throw it in the end zone again to what's his name that was open, Mr. What's his name? Tank Dale. But this is where he got right in front of him. It was none other than Davis again, like he did like in the beginning of the 3rd quarter, like just jump right in front of Strauss. Not Strauss. I mean, this would jump right in front of what's his name? Like right in front of Tank. Tank Dale, like right in front of him and catch the ball, but this time in the end zone, in their end zone. That's where again, that's what that's what was their third interception, right on to I know it was their second, was it? Yeah, it was their second interception onto the Houston Texans because the Houston Texans got like four over Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions. But this is where they started at the 30, like a touchback on the kickoffs. Or was it the 20? I'm not sure. Either way, this is where we got This is where we got Davis then ran the football. This is where we got Exactly. That's what he said. And that's what he said when he gave a shout out to the Chiefs like earlier. Okay, welcome to the Red Kingdom. Them Chiefs, which I'm wearing right here, but yeah, but that's where we got That's where we got Gibbs then ran a first down. This is where then they this is where then we got this is where we got This is where we got Ward, like the corner onto the Houston Texans got kind of injured. It got banged up, like with him getting knocked over by his own teammate. And I want to wish him also a speedy recovery and all my positivity too. Hope he won't be out for long. Or hopefully that was just on that play. But this is where then we got Jared Goff then fake pass it to Gibbs. This is where he tried to launch it to his intended receiver, which was number 9, Williams, if I'm not mistaken. But this is where he gets intercepted uh, by number 21, Caleb Bullock. Like I believe that's what his name is. Like he caught the ball. He got the interception. He went right into the end zone that the Detroit Lions were trying to score a touchdown. It's where It's where they started at their I'll say 22-yard line. This is where then we got Mixon trying to run a few, which he did like a gain of 5. Yeah. But this is where they start showing so far like with the two QBs that's facing each other, CJ Stroud and Jared Goff, like how much they're ranking like in completions, which is like Jared Goff got like a 8 out of 20, while CJ Stroud's got 15 out of 25. And then the passing yards, like Jared Goff got like about 128, while CJ Stroud's got 196. And then and how many touchdowns like out of the interceptions they got, like which was 1 out of 5 for Jared Goff, while CJ Stroud got 1 out of 2, and then sacks, like no sacks for Jared Goff, but 2 sacks with CJ Stroud, and then the rating like with Jared Goff got 39.2, while CJ Stroud's got 64 out of 64. I mean, not out of 64.8. But yeah. But back to the game is where we got Strauss pass it to Mixon again, try to get more 5 yards at least to get a first down, which I believe he did, or no, he only got a 4, which he was a yard short, making this 3rd and 1, which it was not much of a problem though. Once they got to the next play, this is where Jared Goff, not Jared Goff, CJ Stroud handed off to Mixon, which he got 1 yard to save the day, or this play right here, I guess you could say. But this is where this is where we got Strauss and who's like 141, 142 hike, and this is where he passed it to Mixon, which he got an easy 3 yards, if I'm not mistaken. That's where we got CJ Stroud and Davis got like about a 3 yard, but this is where we got a holding penalty by I'll say by what was their offensive lineman? It was number 70. I'll say it was Mr. Scrubs, I guess, or Scrubs, yeah, Scrudge. But that's where we got Davis the third, like nearly got injured, like with him, like was on his knees. I was like, hopefully he didn't got injured because he's like their best player on Detroit. Like he, like considering like he just intercepted two straight passes that Stroud's threw like in this last two drives that of the third quarter. But this is where he walked it out. He took a few minute break, but he took a big hit when he tackled Mixon down like to make sure he does not get a first down. This is where we got he kind of got replaced by Mr. Amik Robertson, number 21, they'll be into that position in the corner in the right side. But this is where we got. But this is where we got Strauss that's get the ball. All right, one the height is where he fake pass it. This is where he tried to go for a throw. He ends up getting this third sack by Lee McNeil. This is where it was a loss of 10 yards on this play by the. I'm not sure if it was defensive tackle or the defensive linebacker or defensive end, but he sacks him. This is where it was defensive tackle. It was a defensive tackle. It was Elim McNeil, yeah. I said McNeil, like it sounded like it said Meek Mill, the rapper that's level to the sugar honey iced tea. But no, like obviously we're not talking about him. We're talking about this defensive tackle that sacked Mr. C.J. Strauss. But it's where he tried to pass it to Mixon, but somebody better give him a ring for him being like the supporter of the Houston Texans. But he only got like a gain of, I'll say, 4 yards, making it still 3rd and 26. That's where he snaps the ball. That's where he did try to go for a throw, if I'm mistaken. That's where it was unsuccessful, though. That's where it was an incomplete, if I'm mistaken. I believe he tried to throw it to. Oh, no, it was not a throw. It was a running play. Even though Mixon did run like a pretty long yard, but it was not enough to get him a first down. However, this was like only a gain of, I'll say, about 11. Like, and if they didn't lost that 10 yards, they probably would have gotten the first down. But this is where they had to punt the ball. This is where Detroit did try to go for a run, but he ends up getting getting stopped, even though he juked a couple of guys. But there was a flag on the play, which I was like, if I haven't already guessed, like who's going to be getting flagged and penalized, and that's where it was that was what's that? What was it? It was a holding. It was an illegal block in the back. That's what it was from the receiving team, which was none other than the Detroit Lions. And then this where they got pushed back like a 10 yards, like into this penalty for illegal hands, like right into a block, like in the back. But it's where but everything got better as soon as they start playing like into the offense side of the fence, like. With Jared Goff then passing it right on to Gibbs. This is where even though this play wasn't good enough, good because he got stopped and got sent right to the left side of the out of bounds by Houston defense. This is where they start showing the updates of the injured players on to the Detroit Lions, which it was Sam Laporta that was questionable from his injury. The tight end on Detroit defensive tackle for Lore. Fuller Runzo, Fatur Kasi for Takasi for Verkazi, and then Kamari and Kamari Lassiter, like the corner like of the Houston Texans, like where they also got questionable, which Florenzo Fatukasi like got a questionable foot injury. Sam Laporta got a questionable shoulder injury, and being evaluated from Mr. Marty Lassiter with a concussion protocol. Yeah, and for the first two guys, like I was want to wish them all my positivity. Hopefully, they didn't got much more bad injury from the other guy, Lassiter. But for him, I hope that he does get. Hopefully, he does get back in the field sooner rather than later. Despite this concussion setback, I hope that he does come back very soon. Even though he probably didn't play for the rest of the games, like maybe for the best. But this is where we got Detroit didn't go for a run, which only got like a gain of like 2, which it was like 3rd and 7. Well, actually, it was like a gain of 3 because it was 2nd and 10. Which it was the 3rd and 7 after. This is where Jared Goff did move those chains, like after this 3rd down conversion, which I assume it was. With Jared Goff, then it was like, okay, 182, 183, hike. That's where they passed it right on to Montgomery, which, I think I made a mistake. Like, he didn't got a 1st down, but yeah, he got stopped like about only got a gain of a couple of yards, which was like 4th and 5 is where he punted right back to the Houston Texans, which the receiver got the ball at the 9-yard line. This is where we got Stroud and tried to do what he do best, and that is gaining yardage and trying to score more points. But he haven't scored anything since at the end of the 2nd quarter. That's where Stroud and they throw it right onto to Campbell. Yeah, it was No, it was yeah. No, it was Campbell, the safety, that was trying to block Gabe Stova. Yeah, that was trying to catch the ball for a 1st down. And this guy happened to be number 87 as well, which I understand why. Like, everybody wants to be number 87. I'm thinking like maybe it's either Rob Gronkowski or even Travis Kelce, which I was hoping it was Travis Kelce is the reason why he did. The reason why everybody else is getting number 87. But this is where we got Robert Woods that got the ball, like which he finally got his 1st reception, but he only got a gain of like 2, if I'm mistaken, making this like I'll say 3rd and 8, if I'm mistaken. Yeah. But that's where they showed the Houston Texans bull what's that called? Mascot was doing like a little foot thing, like what's that, like zag line zag lining right into the halftime show, like when the teams were taking a break. This is where we got CJ Stroud was like, okay, like they're down 3rd down, like, and I think I made a mistake about like when he passed it to Robert Woods, he went nowhere. He did not gain not even a single yard, which that was very much of a sad thing. This where I tried to pass it to to Xavier Hutchinson, but that ended up being an incomplete with him getting taken down by the defense, which was number 32, Branch. It was Branch that batted down the ball that was coming into Hutchinson's way. This is where they had to kick it right back to the Detroit. This is where they had a chance to try to score some points, which I think this time, even though I keep saying that over and over again, like it was at the beginning of the 4th quarter, which at the end of the 3rd quarter, but for the end of the 3rd quarter, it was 23-13, which it was only like 6-0, like with Detroit only scoring in the 3rd quarter, but like in the 6-0 from the 3rd quarter when it comes to scoring points into that quarter. But this is where we got. But that's where Montgomery got the run, like of a 1st down, if I'm mistaken. I could be mistaken, but it's where we got. Anyway, pass it to Montgomery again. This is where he got like a gain of 5, making this. I'll say about it was a gain of 4 because 2nd and 6 is where we got Jared Goff and passed it to what's his name? It was Jamison Williams that got the 1st down. That's where he got the tag that got hit right in the knees, with him hanging onto his knees like, it's on fire, with him taking such a big hit. Like, And it was and we saw defensive end from 95 by getting helmet to helmet, which surprisingly they got roughing the passer in penalty. Mr. What's the Derek Barnett, Mr. Derek Barnett, that's what his name is. That hit him helmet to helmet, but I don't think he mean to, and I think everybody didn't see it that way, and even Jared Goff probably did. He was like, "Yeah, I just got hit." Like, and I understand why he got hit because he was coming his way anyways, and he was trying to make sure he don't throw it, but I ended up throwing it anyways. This is where he got under pressure again, but he ended up throwing it to Montgomery, which he ran it until he got up into the 10, making his first down and goal. Is where actually was like at the 9 yard line, but yeah, but it was so confusing when he tried to when he went right past the 10 at the what's that called the at the what's that the out of bounds. This is where he fake passed it to Montgomery, passed it to St. Brown, which he ran it all the way to the end zone for a touchdown, making it making this 20-23 in the beginning of the first. It was it was Ahmad Reese St. Brown, Admon Ray St. Brown. That's what his name is. But yeah, he got the touchdown, which was like a 3-point game. I was like, like something just tells me that that Houston's in trouble if they don't score. If they don't score very soon, and that was the case right here because somehow it seemed like the coach of the Detroit Lions were telling the truth, like saying like, it was only the first half, like it's only the first half and at halftime, and it's like they're gonna be coming back and they're gonna be stronger than ever, and that's what exactly they were doing. Like with them being the ones to score in the points, this is where we got. This is where we got what's his name? Stroud tried to do his best though, like with him fake passing it to Mixon. This is where he tried to throw it right onto to it was Dalton Schultz that got the first down. Like it's where he tried to roll, spin forward and back. But it's where he got brought down though. Like when he was in the middle, this is where he tried to pass the Mixon, which Joe Mixon only hardly got like a gain of like 3, which was like no, he didn't win nowhere on this round. This was second and 10. This is where he tried to pass it to him, but this is where they stopped. Like once he passed it to Joe Mixon, this is where there was a flag on the play. This is where they heard the referee's whistle. This is where he explained it was a false start penalty onto the offense. This is where they got 5 yards that was pushed right back, making it second and 15, making it worse than it already was. This is where we got Stroud and looking at the positive side. They're like, I'm gonna pretend that this is not even an extra 5 yards, but he only gained about that 5 yards that they lost from that penalty earlier, pretty much like making this third and 10. Yeah, it was third and 10. This is where we got Stroud and was under pressure. This is where it ends up getting sacked, or this is where that's where the ball came out with Detroit stripping the ball out of him, but luckily the offense jumped right on top of it, making sure that it stares. His old player, like on the one of the guardmen, like made sure that that Detroit did not catch the ball, but unfortunately they still had to kick the ball anyways to the Lions that they did not want it to get the ball in the first place. But yeah, this is where Detroit was not done scoring, and let's just say they did even the odds, like into this drive, I should say. But yeah, this is where we got. Let's see, it was. This is where he passed it to Gibbs, like for a first down. This is where they were at the 41-yard line. This is where like first down and long, I should say. Yeah, not just the first down. It was like first down and more. This is where we got. But this is where he tried to pass it right on to Gibbs when he only got 9 yards. Up next is where he then passed it to Gibbs again. This is where Gibbs then ran it for 1 and more, like with I'll say like about a, I'll say, I'll say a gain of 20, like about 2. He got a gain of 20 yards, making it look like a 2 first downs, like instead of 1, like for a 1 yard. But yeah, he got the 1 yard and the extra 19, making it look like a double first down right here, 2-for-1, a 2-for-1 deal, I should say. I forgot to say my catchphrase, but luckily I correct myself before I move on. But this is where we got to the next drive. I'm not the next drive, the next play. This is where he got only like about 6 yards. This is where then we got the fullback that was in motion. This is where he tried not only tried to be the decoy, but like a lineman, an extra lineman himself to block the Houston Texans to try to help out Gibbs like to get it for, but he lost like about a ton, making it about 2nd and 11 in this run. And yeah, that rhyme was intended. This is where it was true because I'm rhyming here. This is where we got but yeah, this is where we got Jared Goff. Did not even care that they lost like an extra 5 yards. This is where they tried to throw it right onto St. Brown, but it was an incomplete. This is where they end up kicking a field goal. Even though it was like a 58-yard field goal, it was 23 all, with them just tying the game, which they got their 10 points from the fourth quarter round. And this is where I was like, this is going to be anybody's game now because Detroit just tied the game and even the odds. I was like, CJ Stroud, the rest of the Houston Tech, you better act now or else these Detroit Lions will continue to be unstoppable. And let's just say that was the case. They were continuing to be unstoppable despite anything else on what was going to be happening between the Houston Texans. They were genuinely going to be continuing to score some type of points, whether if it's a touchdown or a first down. But that's where we try to pass. That's where we got, Stroud tried to pass them. That makes sense. He roughly got like a gain of 5, or was it 4? It was 4. Gain of 4. This is where he tried to get rid of it because of the pressure onto the Detroit's defense. If he didn't do it while he did, he would have probably got sacked because he got brought down with. He tried to throw it to the right side. Incomplete pass. Nobody home. This is where it was 3rd and 6. This is where we got. It's where then CJ Stroud was like, all right, 113, 114. I said hike. This is where he tried to throw it, right. And this is where we got Mechie. That's where John Mechie then caught the ball. This is where he was right into the the yard line. They were like at the, I think it was near the third. What's the 30? No, they were at the 40. 40 at their, let's say their 43-yard line is where he then passed it to the Mixon, which he roughly got about like a 1 yard. Is where it was. It's where it was like 2nd and I'll say 9 if I'm mistaken. No, 2nd and 8. Only got a gain of 2. This is where we got. That's where we got. Tank Dale was in motion, and pretending that he was not in motion. They're trying to confuse them, if he's really gonna, if CJ Stroud's gonna throw it to him or not. But Stroud ended up throwing it to him anyways, and that's where he throws it to him. When he went right back in the left, he got the first down with this reception. With him going right to the left side onto the out of bounds. This is where then we got. This is where we got. Let's see. This is where we got, what's his name? CJ Stroud. And then another, I go to another play. This is where he's like, all right, 118 out there hiking. This is where he passed it right to Mixley, which he got a gain of about 2. No, a gain of 4. It was 2nd and 6. This is where we got everybody grouping up and trying to go for going for another play before the 2-minute warning, which that's exactly what they did with 10 seconds left. With what's his name? What's his name? Tank Dell was in motion, but he still. But this is where we got Strauss end up passing it to Mixon again. But this is where just to run out the clock, just to get the 2-minute warning out of the way, which it was up next. This is where it was 23 all. This is where. Once the break was over, this is where we got that's where we got what's their names. That's where we got CJ Stroud and trying to throw it to any receiver that was open, which I think it was Robert Woods that he tried to throw it to at 3rd and 4. Oh no, it was no, what? No, it wasn't Robert Woods. It was Arnold, the corner number 0, that got the block with the linebacker was right in front of him. Let's see. Oh, yeah, it was right in the middle. Let's see. It was number 19. Who was it? It was Terry and Arnold like good to our block, but that's where he starts shaking up because he was down because he hit right the fly right over the receiver to stop. This is where Stroud's like, where the pass interference penalty? Because I'm pretty sure that he did some early touching like onto my intended receiver that I was trying to throw to. And there was, but this is where the referee started shaking his head like, nope, like it was just an incomplete pass, like he was covering him, which they must have been cheating, like so he wouldn't get the pass interference penalty, which they're not making the NFL, making the NFL's name any better of being known as a legit sport and not predetermined like any better, like with them just letting it happen. But yeah, I think that was a pass interference penalty, and even the commentators even said this. And I'm not saying this because anybody else was saying this. I would have said this like even if nobody didn't even noticed it or even ignored it. Like I would have said I don't understand like why anybody did not notice that was a pass interference penalty. But it's where we got the what's called the Houston Tech trying to positively try to go for a field goal, but let's just say it did not work in their favor because that's where we got I believe the commentators kind of jinxed them, like by saying when the last time like this kicker on the Houston Texans did miss, it, it was against the New York Jets that they try to go for a kick. But guess what happened? At this 58-yard field goal attempt, it went way to the left, like it went right past the left. This is where we got Detroit then this started at the 48. I believe it was their 48, if I'm not mistaken. Well, that's where they got a gain of 4. That's where it was 2nd and 6, like with them passing enemy territory, of course. That's where they were at they were at the Houston's 48. That's where they tried to go for a run. But that's where then there was no yards that was being gained by Detroit when he passed it to Gibbs. This is where the clock was still rolling, because it was they did not. I don't think he quite passed the line of scrimmage or whatever, but I believe the Houston Texans called a timeout because what if they get the ball back before the 1 minute mark breaks into seconds. That is where we got Jared Goff to try to go for uh go for a first down. This is where it's like, all right, 117, 119. I said hike. This is where he snaps the ball, throws it to a receiver, which was none other than man, admin Ray St. Brown. That's where he caught the ball. That's where it was at the 37 or Admin Ross St. Brown. That's what it's pronounced, I should say. This is where he got the first down and more. This is where Houston had called for their last timeout at 1 minute and 33 seconds left, which it still was 23 in all. This is where I was like, some tell me in 2025 it's gonna be those lucky numbers, like those numbers with threes in it. But this is where we got Jared Goff that passed it to the Gibbs. This is where just to run out the clock a little bit with 2nd and 8. With the seconds start going down like until it was like 1 minute and 5 seconds, and he let it go down for another 20 seconds, making it like 45 seconds until they actually start playing the next play, which he passed it to Gibbs, which it got like, which it was like third and like I'll say third and 6th now, like with another extra 2 yards. This is where we got the coach on Detroit. Then it was like, okay, let it run it out for another 20 seconds. This is where then it was like at the that's where the referee didn't call for the timeout like in 6 seconds, even though the coach did not call for it yet. But this is where they let it run out for another 2 seconds, and then they call for a timeout. But this is where the coach started continuing to argue with the referee, saying like, "But I didn't call for the timeout. Like I'll wait for another second. Then I put up the T to stop the clock." And this is where. But he still settled for 4 seconds. He was like, you know what? Like, I'm not gonna argue no more. Like, because we only need that much in order to kick a field goal anyway. So why we have nothing else to lose here. So we might as well just call timeout here. But it's where this kicker. That's where we got this the state town hero of Texas. Even though he's not playing for the Houston Texans, but he's playing for the rival team, which is Detroit Lions, and he came back in his hometown area. They call it the hometown area because he's from the Houston area, in the metro area in Texas. This is where he kicked the field goal. That's where he was getting ready. It was at the 52-yard line with 4 seconds to go. This is where the Houston's defense tried to block it, but it looked like it was about to go way to the left and miss it, but it went right back into the left side of the middle of the uprights and went directly in there, with some kind of a miracle for Detroit to remain I'll say 8 out of 9, I guess you could say now, with them only losing their one game, and they won this by 26 to 23 against the Houston Texans. They were down by 2 touchdowns, but managed to keep scoring after that one touchdown, which at the fourth quarter that was marked as the I'll say 13-0, I guess you could say, with them scoring 2 field goals. What's that? No. Yeah, I'm right. Yeah, because they scored a touchdown at the beginning of the fourth quarter. So, yeah, they were 13-0, which the final overall, from the fourth quarter, it was 26-23. Detroit got the victory, and I want to give my ginormous congratulations on this great game. I was like, either way, I'm enjoying myself watching this game because I love football as much as I like wrestling. That's why I'm doing a podcast for it. And yeah. And Detroit's now 8-1, and now the Houston Texans were now from 6-3 to 6-4. And I thought for sure this was going to be Houston's game. I saw it was they were 2 touchdowns ahead with 2-point conversions on each one of those 2 touchdowns ahead. But Detroit manages to pull off an upset against Detroit, and Detroit pull off an upset against Houston in their home field in NRG. And what was your thoughts on this? Did you believe that Detroit was going to come back, and y'all were a Detroit fan, or do you think that Detroit you did not thought that Detroit was actually going to come back on this game? And I believe that fan that was very disappointed and sad was about to cry at the end of the second quarter at halftime. We thought that Detroit was not going to win this game, but they managed to make a ginormous comeback, which I don't know how they did so, but they did. It was just a miracle. It kind of reminded me when the Chiefs played against the Broncos back in 2016 when Alex Smith was still the quarterback, when the only person that's still in the Chiefs from since then is Travis Kelce. When they beat the Broncos, when they kicked the field goal at overtime, when it was 27-27, they kicked the field when Cairo Santos was the kicker at the time. He kicked it right. It went right to the left, but it bounced right in towards the right, boom, and it made it 30-27. That's kind of reminds me, but it didn't bounce off the upright. It went right through in smoothly when it went right back into the middle and to the left side. But I was completely shocked, along with my family was. They're like, he did not just kick that field goal, but he did. But this is where everybody in the team started lifting up. Jared Goff started, yeah, hooray! Yeah. And that's where they look like a team that's going to be in the Super Bowl, which they could And let me know in the comments. Do you think they're Super Bowl material teams, with them having a very intriguing record next to the Chiefs at 8-1? And do you think it will be Chiefs versus Lions at the Super Bowl, or do you think it's gonna be totally different teams, from both sides or the other? Which I hoping y'all if there's somebody that's another team that might be playing against somebody in the AFC, hopefully you're thinking about that, not in the AFC side, because nobody else that's going to be going to go to the Super Bowl other than the back-to-back 3-time Super Bowl champions, and soon to be 4 times that's going to go back-to-back 3 times in a row. Let me know down in the comment section right down below if you agree with your favorite Super Ninja Assassin host of his SNA podcast. If you think so too, but I guess that's going to be it for today, Assassinators. And thank you guys for watching this video, and I hope y'all enjoyed as much as I did with this very shocking upset, which I thought this was not going to happen when I saw Houston was beating them. I mean, well, we saw this before, when the Chiefs was in the division round from the 2019-2020 season on the road to their first Super Bowl, in over 50 years. But they managed to beat them, even though they were down at the first half at 0-24, by 3 touchdowns and a field goal. But they managed to make 5 straight touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken, to get the victory. But yeah, we're going to talk more about that in the future video. But yeah, this is going to be it for now. And I hope, again, y'all enjoyed. And if so, please make sure to hit the big thumbs up button, hit the subscribe, and the post notification bell for more SNA content. Make sure to check out my wrestling news tomorrow, where I'll be talking about the wildest and intriguing news stories, rumors that you assassinators need to know from the Ringside News article, along with my Monday Night Raw review video and my Monday Night Football review video, where I'll be talking about which I'm going to talk about the Women's Tag Team Championship match between Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill against their latest rivals, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, the former Women's Tag Team Champions, which one of them is a champion, which is the Women's World Championship. And we will be seeing a face-to-face confrontation segment between Darlene General, Gunta, and the former Punisher of the Judgment Day, or now just the solo Punisher, and the returning Archer of Infamy, with their building things up to their future World Championship match, which I think is going to be at Survivor Series in the next less than 3 weeks from now, which right now is 20 days, which tomorrow will be 19 days. But yeah, and we're also going to be talking about Monday Night Football as well, which is going to be the Miami Dolphins against the Los Angeles Rams, which I assume they're going to be in Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, Florida, which they're actually going to be in Los Angeles, California, which is at the SoFi Stadium. It's going to be in SoFi Stadium in that building. And I think that's where exactly that next week's Sunday Night Football game is going to take place. It's going to be in SoFi when the Los Angeles Chargers will take on the Cincinnati Bengals. And yes, sir, and ma'am, I will be covering that next week on November 17th, 2024. And yeah, but I'll see you guys then, along with me seeing you guys tomorrow, in the other videos I'm gonna be recapping and reporting onto the news. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed tonight's video, and I hope y'all are having a fun and safe Sunday night as well. And I'll see you all in the next video with some more SNA content. Until we meet again, Super Ninja Austin is out of here. Bye-bye, my assassinators, and I'll see you guys soon on the next video, which will be tomorrow, of course. But yeah, y'all have a good night, and I'll talk to you later. And yeah, once again, even though I'm double quoting myself, but I want to say good night anyways. So good night. Bye-bye.